Assalamu alaikum guys, it's me Maimuna. I'm back here again with another video. It's quite late in the night. As you can see here, my husband is asleep. I'm going to be in agony aunt today. I'm going to try and give you guys my perspective of a question that I found on Mumsnet. I love me a good bit of Mumsnet. If you don't know what Mumsnet is, it's an online forum where people post questions. I feel like if you live with your in-laws like me, you may relate to this question as well. FYI, I relate to this, but this is not my experience fully. I just relate to this. Just wanted to get that out there. So, hi. I got married at the beginning of the year and I'm now living with my in-laws in a 5-bedroom house. The rooms in the house are quite small. Currently there are 6 people living in the house, including me. My sister-in-law comes to visit every Fridays with her 2 kids and stay over the weekend. On top of that, my other sister-in-law comes to visit every weekend and leaves her 2 kids behind for a day or 2. On top of that, my third sister-in-law, you have a lot of sister-in-laws, has been living with us for several weeks whilst her home is getting refurbished. So there's actually 7 of us living together. Sometimes my 4th sister-in-law visits once a week with her husband, and on rare occasions she also stays over. Because I live with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, the house becomes full when they all come to stay. 10 to 12 bodies sleeping under one roof at the most. I become really frustrated as I don't have any privacy unless I go to my room and lock the door. Relatable. My husband refuses to move out. Nobody forces me to do any housework. However, I choose to contribute as I know they will bicker if I sit there and do nothing. To get away from everyone, I joined a gym and go there 4 days a week after work for a couple of hours. Whenever guests come around, my mother-in-law expects me to serve them. When I come home a couple of hours late from work, she calls my husband to find out where I am and why I haven't come home, and she expects me to tell her where I am all the time, which I don't do purposely. All this drives me mad. And I have argued with my husband about this many times, about these issues, and he thinks I'm being disrespectful and overreacting. I have decided that I will never have children under that roof, and because of this, I don't know where my relationship with my husband will end up if I carry on living like this. He feels comfortable living with all his family, but I feel like I have to tiptoe. I agreed to live with his family before I married him, but I never knew his siblings will always come to stay or visit all the time. Every weekend the house is full and I just can't get away from them. I always end up going to my mum's house so I can live in peace every couple of weeks. I have a very small family and my mum's house is nice and quiet. I would even stay at my mum's 1 week at a time to avoid his family, but I can't do this forever. I don't want to cook for his family anymore. I don't want to do anything for them. I just want my own space. He owns a flat which he rents out and he is on a very good salary, but he chooses to never move out of his mum's place. I haven't had any arguments with his family yet, but I don't know how long I can hold my thoughts in. I cook twice a week and I hoover a couple of times in a week, but his siblings always complain that the house is always dirty whenever they come to visit and compare our house to theirs. Obviously it will be dirty if they come to visit all the time with their kids. There are constantly people coming to visit and they never invite us to their homes. I have never even seen their homes. I won't behave like a traditional Bengali daughter-in-law and constantly clean the house. They have their own home. I don't know why they come to stay with us. I don't know what to do. I don't think I can live like this. I just want to run away, and I have a feeling my husband will just get fed up of me constantly complaining to him and going to my mum's for space. We may even end up drifting apart if he doesn't do something. Please share your experiences. Whew, that was a very, very long question to read. But quite sad. The way she words her experience is very sad and upsetting and almost borderline depressing if you ask me. She says that she can't go on living like this, which is, in my opinion, if you feel like that in your marriage, you're not in a very good place and you need to do something about it. So here's where I'm going to give you guys my perspective, because as you'll know, I live with my in-laws. In the beginning, I will be honest and say I felt exactly the way the writer of the question is feeling. Bear in mind that she has just been newly married and this has come as a shock to her and she's going through stages of grief. Now, this is the funny thing about marriage nobody tells you. Whether you live with your in-laws or even if you don't, in many cases, after you get married, you have lost something. So you are in a stage of grief. What you have lost is perhaps your old life, perhaps a dream or an idealization of what you thought marriage was going to be like. But the point is, you're experiencing stages of grief. In the beginning, you'll be in a state of denial, right? There's 4 stages of grief. So the first is denial, the second is anger, the third is depression, and then the last stage, which for some people doesn't really come at all, is acceptance. Right now, I'm in a stage of acceptance. So I don't have any anger about anything, which puts me in a really good position where I can speak about this. The first stage, which is denial, is kind of like you don't really believe that this is happening. Like, you're kind of like, did this just happen? Or somebody pinched me, is this actually happening? Kind of scenario. Like, for instance, I remember when I first got married, my mother-in-law, she said something to me, and what she said, I just couldn't believe that she'd said that. And I just kept looking at my brother-in-law, thinking to myself, did she really just say that? Or am I imagining things? Because I just couldn't believe it. I was like, did that really just come out of her mouth? Like, did she just say that to me? Like, I just didn't know. And when you're in that stage of denial, it's kind of like a shock. Like, you kind of get frozen up and you don't know what to say. Like, you can't say anything because you're kind of like, huh? Like, what? So that stage doesn't last very long, probably about 2 weeks, and then the next stage hits you like a ton of bricks. So the next stage is anger. For some people, like our lovely writer of the question, the anger doesn't come out explosively, but for people like myself, it was very explosive. So she hasn't had any arguments with any of her family members about her situation, but I'm not gonna lie, when I was in that position, I was angry like there's no tomorrow. Like, I was angry at everyone and anything. Like, I would lose my temper over anything that I saw or heard which I didn't like. And so this anger can be really overwhelming, and it's not nice. Like, having these arguments, all these like not getting along in the beginning of your marriage, it's not nice at all. So I was really angry. And she seems like she's in that stage as well. She's in the stage of anger and depression. So she's talking about how angry and how fed up she is with everything. As a result, she refuses to do any housework because she's so angry about the situation. There's another stage, actually. It's called bargaining. I missed that out completely. So bargaining is when you try and bargain with people around you, to kind of like negotiate and come into terms of changing things. You may decide to talk to your family about moving out. You may decide to talk to your husband about moving out. When that happens, you either get what you want or you don't. And if you do, that's great, well done. If you don't, then you enter that stage of depression, where you just get really sad and you just think, oh my gosh, I can't live like this. I cannot imagine the rest of my life living like this. And you're just like, I'm not gonna have kids, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not gonna cook, I'm not gonna clean, like, I can't live like this. And it's just super sad. You just feel so sad about your life. You're like, why is this happening? I cannot live like this, I cannot continue like this. And you imagine the rest of your years being like this, and you think, oh my gosh, like, this is so sad. So for some people, during that bargaining stage, if you don't get what you want, aka moving out, you end the marriage and you guys split up. And I know of a lot of people who end up leaving a marriage because they don't want to live with their in-laws. And you know what? If that is an experience that you've been through, or if that's something you're considering, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Everything is relative, okay? And if something is affecting you so bad that it's like genuinely affecting your peace, your inner state of mind, and is making you so depressed where you cannot function and you cannot live and you're feeling suicidal and all these other things, then like, go ahead and leave. Like, be happy, choose your happiness, choose your mental health. if you feel like that's the right thing for you, then go ahead. But if you're strong, okay, because you need to be strong. If you feel like you don't want to leave your husband over something like this, if you feel like his good qualities outweigh the bad, because not everybody has to leave if they're not happy. The thing with marriage that a lot of people get wrong is that they think they cannot work on it. They think that things can't improve, and I'm here to tell you that they can. Like, you really can work on your marriage, and you can change things. People can change for you. Around that time, you either move out or you don't. For some people who don't, they seem to stay in that stage for a while, whereas others, like me, they'll start to accept. So it'll be a stage of acceptance, and this comes quite slowly, but it definitely comes. And it's when your life just becomes kind of like your new normal, and you just start to accept everything. You start feeling better, you start seeing the silver lining, you start seeing the bright side again. So now that I've explained to you what being married can feel like for some people, and I'm not just talking about women who live with their in-laws, this can even be men. Like, some men may go through this as well. That's why when she was saying, like, when she told her husband and he'd say, oh, he's overreacting, or she's being disrespectful, it's probably because he's also in a stage of denial himself. He can't get around the fact that you and his family don't get on. Like, he probably just can't accept it. And for him, he may need to go through all those stages as well, just like you, to be able to accept things. In my opinion, I actually think she's quite fortunate, and I don't think she's in a bad position at all. Like, she says that her husband, he owns 2 properties. So he owns the one that they live in, which is a 5-bedroom house, mind you, and a flat. So I'm assuming that he's really well off. And nowadays, what tends to happen is it's not the youngest son that lives with his parents. It's usually the more well-off son that lives with his parents. And if he's well off, so well off, where he can buy a house and like give you a nice life, and his mum and dad a nice life, that means you're well off as well. And you can afford maybe not working. Like, if you want to work, maybe it's just for fun. And the only type of jobs she has to do is hoovering, cleaning up after people, and like trying to entertain a bunch of guests that come over like all the time. I'll get to that in a minute, but that's basically all she has to do. She just hustles with that. It's not a big job, I'll be honest. It can be, but cleaning nowadays is pretty much automatic. Like, it's automated by machines anyways. Like, we have hoovers and washing machines. Because of all that, it's kind of not that big of a hustle anyways. So you just have to hustle for like your 20s and 30s, right? And then the rest of your life, you're basically set. Like, you have your retirement set up, you have your life set up. Like, you don't realize this, but a lot of women, when they live alone with their husbands, it is really expensive for them, and they have to work, or they have to live on a very, very tight budget, especially nowadays, because like rent is so expensive, and just living on one income is it's just so difficult. Secondly, with all the people coming over, I can imagine that they don't do it out of choice. I feel like it's a cultural thing as well. I don't know if those sister-in-laws are your brother-in-law's wives or if they're your husband's sisters, but either way, I'm guessing they're expected to visit, and just be glad that that's not you. Like, imagine having to come every week to somebody else's house and sleep in their home. At least you can be comfortable in your own bed. Like, imagine having to stay over at somebody else's house every week. Like, I just feel like it's difficult. Sometimes, like, I've done it and I can't sleep. Like, I feel more comfortable in my own bed. And the fact that they have kids as well, and they're coming over and staying over, like, I feel like it would be harder to do that. So it'd be harder to come to someone else's house every weekend and stay over and then go back to your own house than it would be to just live in your own home for as long as you wish. You're quite lucky that your sister-in-law can come and leave her kids behind. Like, that must mean that your mother-in-law doesn't mind babysitting. That must mean she doesn't mind babysitting. Because I have a lot of grandkids, there may not be as much pressure on you to have kids. So you don't even need to like rush on the having kids kind of thing. Because I know, like, if you're the wife of the firstborn son you have to have grandkids as soon as possible. Like there's that pressure because like your in-laws really want to have like grandchildren. So you don't have that pressure on you, and that's kind of like me. I don't have that pressure on me either. Like my in-laws don't care if I have a kid now or in 5 years. Like they don't mind, which is really good actually, because that saves me that pressure of having to like have kids now. Enjoy the fact that you don't have to have your own kids right now, and enjoy the fact that if you do, you have a free babysitter to take advantage of. Like go ahead, like literally when you have them kids and your sister-in-law comes to drop her kids over, your kids can play with her kids, and like you can leave somebody to watch them. It's no big. The only like issue you may have, this is the thing with me, so I'm not super extroverted by nature. I'm more of an introvert. I'm a quiet person, and it seems like submitter of the question, I feel like she's quite introverted. Like she gets overwhelmed around many people, and the fact that she has to be around so many people, the fact that she has to like escape to the gym tells me that as well. So definitely escape when you need to. Like if you need to come in your room, if you need to go to the gym, definitely do that, because everybody needs their space from time to time, and as long as your in-laws understand that about you, you're fine. But if like it's a case of you're never around and you're always at your mum's house, or you're always at the gym, or you're always somewhere else, people can kind of pick up on the fact that you don't want to be there. Because you're newly married as well, this might end up not working in your favor, because your in-laws might think you don't want to be there. So they'll try and like chase up on where you are, and they'll try and ask you, why don't you spend time with us anymore? Why are you always away? And they'll be more on your case, versus if you did stay and you did entertain and make an effort. And especially when you're just like a new beau, like as a new wife in the family, everybody's gonna want to come over and get to know you. Like they're just gonna want to do that. So you kind of have to, in the beginning, allow them to. So I will give some tips on how to be really entertaining and how to be a really good host when you're just not that type of person. My last point is, although it seems like you're in this depressive state and you think that this is going to be the rest of your life, believe me, it isn't. Because nobody lives with their in-laws forever. Nobody's life is exactly the same forever. Everybody's life is ever changing. We're always entering new stages of our life, and this stage that you're in, it might end soon, it might not end soon, you don't know, but it's not permanent, it's temporary. And when you like understand that, it becomes less sad. See it as an experience, okay? See it as like, okay, maybe 5-10 years I'll be out, I might be in my own place, may have like 5 kids, who knows, right? But you might look back at this stage and you may think, I had so much free time, I had so much money, why didn't I enjoy myself more? Like why didn't I do things? Like I know I lived with people, I know I shared a house with people, but why didn't I make more of an effort to enjoy myself? Why was I so sad all the time? Everybody glamorizes like a nuclear family and like having your own flat in London with your husband, like going out all the time. Everybody glamorizes it. What I would advise you to do, okay, is if you don't have any kids and your husband's loaded, which seems like he is, like just go on holidays, like go out the country and stay in a hotel with him, like spend some alone time with him and just see how it is with the two of you, you know? Like you don't always have to stay with your in-laws forever, and you don't always have to go to your mum's house. Like try and plan things like that. I'm sure it's possible. Like I'm sure you could ask him, he'd be okay with it. Enjoy your life. Like you're privileged and you don't realize it. If I was you, I would literally go online, do some online shopping, you know, pretend you're you're one of those housewives of Beverly Hills, go to a cafe, take the old ma with you whilst you're going there, buy her a coffee, you have a coffee, just enjoy your life. Like you're privileged, you don't realize it yet, but you are. And even if you move out, you can't avoid his family. Like you really can't. Like they'll still try and come over, they'll still try and reach you in some way, or they'll expect you to come over. So you're gonna have to face it and accept it regardless of whether you move out or stay. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you all very soon in my next video. So yeah.